We're in the middle of counting the Omer. And every day counts. Every day builds on the previous day. There isn't anything in our lives that doesn't matter and it's not counted and we can't build on. Even if we miss something, we're lacking. Even from the lack, we can make it whole again. We can bring it back. We have that capability. We have that power. Absolutely. Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Share life together. And we share it with TJ Terrence in Melbourne, Australia, who likes to go to sleep with good thoughts, holy thoughts of Tanya, because it's very late in Melbourne. John, there it's a little early for John. I mean, I know it's early, but much earlier than Melbourne, Australia, and North Carolina. And kind of in the middle is Michael in Germany, where it's already afternoon. Simcha is joining us, Boker Tov in Florida, while Rusty is in Texas. Jan in Mexico has joined us, and it's a good afternoon for Rabbi in Morocco. Rachamim also in Texas, joining us from Houston, and saying good night to everybody. In Australia is June. Moshe is coming to us from Anaheim, California. Boker Tov. While Yohanan is also in California. Clem in Brisbane, Australia, where it's also very late. Who else is with us? Davida and Liba are having a Tanya-rific day. Jerry in Texas, welcome. Chava Celestine, shalom to you in Boulder, Colorado. Did a huge mitzvah with Rena, also in Colorado. Wow, beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Who else is here? Brett in Pennsylvania, who is in a pre-op for cataract surgery. So Brett, our blessings for you. And blessings that you should have a easy surgery and speedy recovery, full recovery. David is joining us in Gold River, California. Daphne is having a wonderful Wednesday in South Carolina. Sandy, good morning to you in Michigan. And Amy is also in Colorado joining us. Welcome. Fabio, please let me know where you are. Julia is in Pennsylvania joining. Still snowy. Wow. You beat us out. Even Montreal. Amazing. Tonight, folks, starts a new JLI course. Junap. I'm having a trouble with it. We're going to learn about the supernatural. It's going to be very exciting. Supernatural, that's it. Thank you. Who else is here? Cindy in Florida at the doctor's office. Suzanne is also in Florida, in Miami. Diane in Arizona. I think, wonderful. We have in Clubhousers. We have Michael, we have Jay, Marcy, Jenna, Vilma, Celeste, Ezzy. Beautiful. We have Instagrammers. Koya in Lima, Peru. We have Rachel in South Carolina. We have Chabad MM Penelope, Leiter, Alice in Baltimore, Jennifer in Minnesota, Astro, that's Carlos in Chile, Entitela Benta, New York, Harry. All right, beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Do you ever experience a day you're just not into it? The mitzvah, the good thing. You're just not feeling it. You know it's good to do it. You know it's the right thing, that what you're needed for, but your heart isn't into it. How do you get around that? This is the meaning in Tehillim, Psalms, from King David, and what Asaph says in his divine inspiration on behalf of the entire community of Israel that would later be in exile. Where in exile is definitely a place of darkness, where it's hard to feel it, hard to sense the connection when you are doing a mitzvah, when you're doing good. And he says, I am foolish and know and feel not. I was like a beast before you, yet I'm continually with you. What does this mean? It means to simply say that even though I am like a beast has no awareness of connection, awareness of the good that you're doing, insensitive to the union that there is right now with our soul and the divine and with God and with any mitzvah that we do. Any one of God's things that he needs from us. We are unaware of the fact that our soul is continually with God. If we were truly aware of what's happening at this very moment, we would have fear, we would have awe, we would have the great pleasure of this union, experiencing it ultimately in the delight of this moment, in the attachment that we have, as do the tzaddikim, the righteous. Because they have refined themselves, their physical reality, to such a degree that the physical reality does not impinge, does not conceal on the soulful reality that we are going through at this very moment, and every time that we do a mitzvah and study Torah, that we're bound up and totally unified with the divine in a perfect unity, with an intense sense of awe and love. You don't feel it? The fact that we don't feel it is because, again, we haven't refined ourselves. But it doesn't take away from the reality. It doesn't take away from it. As it says in Tehillim, this is in chapter 73 in Tehillim, verse 22 and 23, then nonetheless I am continually with you. Even though my body prevents me from experiencing the union of my soul with the light of the Ein Sof, because, again, I have not refined the corporeality, my physical reality. Nonetheless, we need to be aware that we are totally one with the Ein Sof. And that's the objective truth, even though I don't feel it. As it's written, even darkness cannot obscure you. So even our own darkness cannot obscure the fact that we are bound up in one with God. So let us be aware that we have a beautiful unity and a sanctity with the supreme of holiness, even though we don't perceive it as the righteous do. And in conclusion of chapter 46, the Alter Rebbe brings a proof of this from halacha, from Jewish law. We see something interesting in Jewish law, that the punishment for transgressing a prohibition, say working on the Sabbath, or eating leavened bread on chametz on Passover, applies equally to all people. I mean, all Jewish people, that is. In other words, the severe punishment, whether you are a righteous person and totally aware of the connection and disconnect by doing something right, or you are a simple person, an uncultured, illiterate person, who the sanctity of the day of Sabbath and and holidays isn't illuminating your life. Yet the righteous and this illiterate individual face the same punishment, right? Whether it be premature death by eating bread on Passover, or whatever it would be, for Sabbath. It can be even, it can be the capital punishment, right? When there's two witnesses and forewarned before, and whatever it is. The point being over here, there isn't a distinction simply because the fact of the connection that we have on the Sabbath, on Shabbos, or holidays, is equal to the righteous and equal to the illiterate, or to us. Right? It's equal. The fact of the matter it is. And therefore, we're obliged to observe equally in the observance of the Sabbath and the like. Right? We have one Torah, one law that applies equally to all. Because the reality is that in the observance of any mitzvah, there is a connection, a unity, and a oneness with the holy sanctity of the divine, of the Ein Sof, whether we feel it or not. It's a reality. In conclusion, there says that in the, and this is in parentheses, it's not a major point because not so much applying to us. It says beasts in the plural. Why plural? Because there's two types of beast. There's a beast that is ignorant, and then there's a beast that, as a metaphor, beyond intelligence. In other words, you relate to God beyond your intelligence. That's a higher level. So there's a negative concept of a beast, right? Illiterate, about the ways of God and the teachings of Torah. And then there is someone who's very literate, very knowledgeable, but yet is like a beast, meaning beyond comprehension, beyond what they understand. And therefore, when they sense, and their only rationale or commitment to God is Because God's with us. Period. And obviously there's that great awareness. So it's the opposite, total awareness. So, what do we have here? Something very powerful that the Alter Rebbe is empowering us with. There are days that you just don't feel like doing the good that you need to do, that we're aware that it's the right thing, and I just can't get myself there. I had someone come to me yesterday who was really broken and used to learn a lot and devote a lot to prayer and just not feeling it. So here the Alter Rebbe is giving us advice. That's okay. That's all right. The righteous are going to truly feel the connection. We're not. That's all right. What we need to have is an awareness of the truth. And not to allow my feelings to dictate truth. Because the feelings I have are of the animal soul, and that's not real truth. Absolute truth is that which is the awareness of the godly soul. So be aware that in this moment, whether we feel it or not, whether we're motivated or not, whether we're inspired or not, in this moment in learning Torah, we have a perfect unity and oneness with God. The moment after this that you will give charity, that you'll pray to Hashem, you will put on tefillin, for those who are obliged to do that, Jewish men over 13, or women lighting their Shabbos candles, whatever it is, you're truly united and one with the Ein Sof. That awareness is what we should strive to live with. That truth, even though emotionally, experientially, we're not feeling it. All right, folks. L'chaim. To life. Any questions? Two question marks before you ask a question. I don't see any. Oh, Davida. Can someone who is non-observant or atheist or agnostic still feel it? For sure not. How could they feel connected to God if they don't even believe it? But are they when they do the mitzvah? Yes. I had some time ago, an individual asked, come, put on tefillin. He says, no, I don't believe in this. So I said to him, I don't believe that you don't believe. He got very upset. What do you mean? How do you not respect my beliefs? So I respect what you're saying. I don't believe that that's what you really believe. I believe that that's what you are feeling, that's what you're experiencing. But I really do believe that deep down, you have a soul. And that soul is connected to the divine. And that soul wants to do a mitzvah, to express that connection. Because that's what a mitzvah does, it expresses it. And that's what you really want. You're just not aware of it. So the same thing is for us folks. When we're not feeling it, we're just not aware. of the experience we're having when we do the mitzvah. Simply taking a coin and putting into a pushkin into a charity box. Simply extending your hand and lighting a Shabbos candle, or act of putting on tefillin, or as we're doing now, learning Torah, divine kiss, and the mitzvah, the royal embrace. So awareness of it, at least in our minds, minimally, even though we might not feel it in our hearts, it doesn't take away from that truth. Then there is not inherent only when they do the mitzvah. Well, connection is there. We're talking about perfect unity is when you do the mitzvah. Men who have the time-bound mitzvahs and is not keeping them for whatever reason still have the connection to Hashem. The soul is connected to God, to Hashem, period. That's a hidden love. It's not expressed. And it's not the purpose. We need to be aware that we are connected, period. We're whole, we're complete, we're worthy. Not because we did something, because we are something. And what is that? A piece of the divine. So, yes, we are that. Whether we do something or we don't do anything. Absolutely true. But that doesn't mean we're expressing that. And that doesn't mean we're fulfilling our purpose. Our purpose, the fact we are that, is something that God endowed me with, you with. Okay, now what? Okay, now you're needed by God to expose that through a mitzvah, to reveal that truth in the act of the mitzvah. First, by knowing it, that when you do the mitzvah, when you study Torah, you do the mitzvah, a royal kiss, a royal embrace. Without that, there isn't a royal kiss or a royal embrace. There is the fact that you are connected, but it hasn't been exposed and expressed. Just like you love your child. Well, no doubt. But if you don't give them a kiss or a hug, you haven't expressed it. So it's wonderful that it's an inherent truth. But do we live only with the inherent truth that you love your child and you don't give them a kiss, you don't give them a hug? No. You give them a kiss, you give them a hug to express it for your sake, and even more importantly, for their sake. Likewise, we get the royal embrace and the kiss for God's sake, because that's what He needs us for. Thank you, Achami. That was excellent. I hope that was clear. Jennifer, where specifically in the Torah can I find the punishment of not following halacha? Well, every mitzvah brings its punishment. We learned that in Rambam, but you know, we see that in this week's parsha, that if you bring an offering, this is in the times of the Holy Temple, when you're impure, you'll be nichrasa me'ameha, you'll be cut off from your people, meaning a premature death. So it's constantly brought up in the Torah. If you transgress the Shabbos, right? Now it's giving the nth degree of punishment right? Which could be lashes, it could be premature death, all these things that, or if it is capital punishment, that's when you have two witnesses that warn you before you do the act, see you doing the act, and so on and so forth. So that's where you can see it in every mitzvah the Torah will tell us. In this week's parsha, we have, because this week's parsha is speaking about offerings, so it speaks about when those offerings are done inappropriately. Thank you, Jennifer. Reminder, JLI tonight. You don't want to miss it. If you haven't yet, go to jlimontreal.com if you want to join us. Or if you have a different Chabad rabbi to go to, Kol HaKavod, power to you, as Julia does, for example, and I'm sure others do. All right. Rambam coming up. Amazing. One and all. Thank you for day in, day out, for just being here. For me, it's extremely inspiring to see so many of you here and so consistently. Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you, Chabad Zirchen Kadeshim, in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege, a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing day. God bless. Rambam coming up now, and which is the laws of Torah study. Interesting. And JLI tonight.